What job exists because we are stupid? Story 1. I coded myself out of a job. If you do this, be careful to never let anyone know, and if they get suspicious, lie your freaking butt off. Or take the opposite route. Publicize your creation, put it on your resume, and use it to take the job of the dumb mofo before you who never thought to do it. Did this in my old job. When I quit, they went back to copy-paste. This is what happens when people run a company without a plan for future tech. I was right out of undergrad. I'm a poetry scholar, not some computer science major. I got into coding while trying to make games as a hobby. Thing is, I'm interested in these things and it's easy for me to use computers. It's just my way. Anyway, I went to this company wanting to be a teacher, Academic Solutions. Because I was young, the boss figured I was better suited to the office. I got paid $15.75 an hour to be a full-time hire or fire, phone answerer, administrative assistant, IT, and correspondence for the teachers. After a while, I kept getting more responsibility with no increase in pay, so I started automating most of my work so it'd be done. We also had to fix teacher work because we hired seemingly brainless people who barely showed up, so I'd be in the office for nearly 24+ hours fixing attendance sheets or making them up because these idiots didn't put their stuff in on time. Before I left, they told me to write everything I did and how to do it. I wrote a 35-page sarcastic how-to, including tips for getting by with the stress of being overworked and underpaid, like allocating money for alcohol instead of eating lunch and the bus schedule in case you needed to catch one to step in front of. Awful. I'm 1 semester away from my master's and I'm so happy I don't work there anymore. It likely happened because of maintenance and one-offs. If there's no one there who knows how it works, uses it incorrectly, they'll assume it's broken and go back to writing on cuneiform tablets. My junior and I worked in QA for an SaaS company and had automated front-end testing of about 90% of the product for regression, etc. via iMacros and another add-on. I got promoted to product manager, but got burnt out. Since I was BA, QA, and PM for back-end stuff for over 35 million customers, I was offered the chance to go back to QA. I walked in and nothing remained. The major initiative? Automate testing. They were at less than 10% automation. I rapidly jumped out to become a scrum master for another team as soon as my little butt could. Code it, but code it to do the work slightly slower than you would do it manually. That way you get paid the same amount of money for the same amount of work, and for longer. Story 2. Have you heard of the position customer service representative? A better title is unappreciative business, meat shield, or perhaps ignorant customers chew toy. Now, some big businesses more or less make their customer service arm into basement-dwelling sub-lawyers who spout fine-print policies no one knows about but invariably involve messing you, the customer, over. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about companies who pay people to kindly smooth over issues and solve problems that don't really have a department that can provide an answer. Hint, that's all the problems. Let's look at the freight industry, where I work. Freight is simple. We pick things up, move them somewhere, and set them down. Where it gets stupid are the expectations of customers who really don't give a crap and just want their stuff right now. I remember we were in the middle of a blizzard where a terminal was located, and we were understaffed due to, a blizzard, and people getting stuck in the road. Trucks were going off the road and being blown over. But never mind that. Where's my stuff? One of our customer service reps was calmly explaining, as other lines rang off the hook, to an irate rural customer that we were in the middle of a blizzard and could not justify sending a truck out to the boondocks. The response? It ain't snowing out my window. My other favorite is when customers call in and think the driver who picks up their freight is the exact same guy who's going to deliver the freight across the country. Like this dude wakes up at 6, brings a whole 54-foot trailer to your business, picks up your single skid of absolute horse crap and is then going to soldier forward to the coast to deliver it immediately after. It's our going policy to keep this Disney World illusion for our customers. Freight is actually a really difficult industry to understand, and it just isn't worth the time to explain it to a customer who will realize mid-explanation that all they really care about is when their freight will get there. Thus, yes indeed, the freight industry is driven by basically Santa Claus-like powers. Customer service at honest, hardworking companies is here to manage your stupidity and make you feel smart and satisfied about it. Story 3. Traffic police in Baltimore. I was there this summer and the gridlock was atrocious. People push their way into the intersection, the light turns red, and they are stuck there until the light is about to turn red in the opposite direction, at which point those people push their way into the intersection and the cycle perpetuates. During rush hour, they have police standing in the intersections. Not to direct traffic, though, simply to hold their hand up when the light turns red so that people don't push their way into the intersection. Basically, a human has to stand in traffic for hours just to tell the drivers what the light means. It was unbelievable. This also reminds me of Atlanta. They have highway signs that tell you how many people have bit the dust so far that year in traffic accidents. It's obscene. It was something like just under 1,000 people so far this year in August. And yet, everyone still drives like they're the only person on the road, so screw it. Why not watch YouTube on my phone, swerve between lanes with no advance warning, and tailgate like I'm trying to drive through the other car? It's freaking terrifying. And I was only there for 3 days, and now I never want to go back. Ever. Just knowing that there are people who treat 5 lanes of traffic like it's a go-kart track makes me want to vomit.
What was the worst time you walked in?
Rufus Rugs, open up! Sorry for barging in like that, but I just had to share the sponsor of today's video. Me and the boys from Rufus Rugs.
Now you might be saying to yourself,
excuse me, what the actual are you doing in my house?
but I can assure you're gonna like this. We've been hard at work creating the best quality and premium hand-tufted rugs money can buy. Now imagine this. You, chilling on your bed, watching a Rufus Stories video, and staring at a rug that's not just a rug. Nope, it's a masterpiece. It's the kind of rug that makes your friends wish they were you. But they're not. And the best part is that these aren't your average cheap quality rugs. Nope, each one is handcrafted by me and the boys. No shortcuts, no robot assembly lines, and no dropshipping BS. Just pure rug grind. Whether you love anime, sports, cars, or anything else you can think of, we can turn it into a rug. So click the first link in the description and have your custom idea come to life. Story 4. I had a temporary job in a posh department store a few years ago. The escalator going down from floor 2 to floor 1 had to be taken out to be replaced, which took a month. Despite the many notices and the signs directing people to the lifts and stairs, a member of staff had to stand at the top of the closed escalator just to direct the public to the lifts and stairs. It broke people's brains, and it was worrying to see how many tried to get past the barriers or got pissed and shouty because there was no escalator. Like, holy crap, how did people cope before moving stairs were invented? Well, looks like the AC isn't working either. Breathe next time, guys. Story 5. Here's some tips as a financial advisor. Number 1. Save money for retirement. At least 10% of what you earn gross in an IRA or employer-sponsored plan. Put it in growth mutual funds or ETFs, and don't touch it until you're satisfied you have enough there to live on no more than 4 to 5% of the balance per year for the rest of your life. Don't consider individual stocks with this money. Number 2. Establish a basic budget based on your post-retirement savings, income, and current expenses. Do not spend more than you bring in on a regular basis. Number 3. Save a little after-tax money from every paycheck in an FDIC-insured savings account. This is your emergency fund. Don't touch it if you're not in financial dire straits. Number 4. Once you have at least 3 months of expenses covered by that emergency account, keep saving the money, but flow it to another investment vehicle, such as stocks, bonds, CDs, treasuries, real estate, precious metals, whatever you're comfortable with depending on your goals and risk tolerance that can at least hold value. If not, grow it. This is your savings for home, car, vacation, and other major purchases. Number 5. With the possible exceptions of purchasing a home or borrowing for education that will actually pay for itself, don't take on debt. Pay off your credit cards monthly, pay your bills on time. Number 6, if you can't follow the above, take a hard look at your lifestyle. Either find a way to earn more money, spend less money, or both. Second jobs are sometimes necessary, or many people just need to eat out less, go to bars less, drive a cheaper car, or downgrade their living situation. Don't give in trying to impress others or looking good on social media. Just do you. Story 6. Okay, this one is legitimately related to us stupidly losing a valuable form of communication. I work in a music school as a piano accompanist. I play for a lot of kids as voice lessons or training for a professional music career, but solidly half of them do not know how to read sheet music. So the other portion of my job involves making recordings of their sheet music for them so they have some kind of clue what the heck is going on. We rely on recordings for everything, so reading sheet music is a fast-dying skill. This leaves these poor kids completely unprepared for the real world where they will not always have a pianist who can read their music for them. Many of them come back to visit us and say, "Wow, having pianists in undergrad to help us was really helpful." I feel terrible that I'm basically a crutch to help them get through school. Story 7. IT Service Help Desk. My job exists because of stupidity, and let me give you a pro tip about computers. Computers don't break because they don't do what you tell them to. Computers break because they do exactly what you tell them to. My friend's mom gets hacked every day through her dial-up. She refuses to upgrade because the constant connections means the hackers can hack her more. They make her Facebook run slow. Dial-up. Why does she think she's being hacked? Things run slow a lot. One look at her desktop tells me everything I need to know. Everything she interacts with ends up there. She constantly complains about slow startup. If it's not on the desktop, she can't find it. My favorite part, she always tells people that she's a programmer because she used to use DOS. Also, she's a computer expert because she took a class 20 years ago. She's the embodiment of her generation's relationship to computers. Wait a minute, it's 2023 and his mom still uses dial-up? Kids these days don't even know what that is. If you had dial-up internet as a kid, leave a like in this video and subscribe to the channel. Story 8. Not a job, but when I was in college, I got into a little trouble after a party in an apartment complex. Long story short, I ripped a few exit signs down and broke a door. The landlord pressed charges and I was given community service for 30 days. My job, every day, was to stand next to the nature trail in my city where joggers often ran and tell them if the trail was flooded. Sounds important, but this was the Midwest and this was a very flat, undercovered natural trail. There wasn't anywhere you could be on it and not see 500 yards in front of you. But still, I had over 10 runners in one day that the trail was flooded. They looked at me in utter confusion when I told them the trail was underwater, as they splashed through the 6+ inches of water right in front of them. My favorite response was from a man who was standing in water to his ankles, look at me and say, "How far ahead does it start getting wet?" Longest 30 days of my life. Story 9. I mean, y'all aren't stupid, but I stupidly worked at Waffle House for the 2 months we got for winter break in college. For 10 hours a day, Thursdays and weekends off, I only cooked bacon to perfection. Nothing else. I couldn't cook any other breakfast item, and the owner knew I was just a temp, so consistently perfect bacon would do. One day, Mr. Important Wahoo Dude for the Southeast came into our house as we were recently open, and the owner must have been absolutely desperate to impress him, so he decided to go all in about his bacon cooking prodigy, reluctantly nicknamed the Baconator. For context, every time one of the absolute characters, who are longtime Wahoo workers, would call for the classic pull one bacon, they would make a big deal to their customers about the rookie Baconator, and I would proceed to shake my head over the grill and remind myself that this was the absolute rock bottom. So Mr. Important Wahoo Man tells me to fry him up some godly pieces of bacon. I pick out 4 thick slices of bacon, toss those bad boys in the grill, and let them sizzle for precisely 40 to 45 seconds. But Mr. Wahoo is telling me to throw the iron on them as it is standard procedure. But I continued to let the bacon cook uncovered for just the right amount of seconds before I threw the iron on for half the time. Lifted the iron off the bacon, scooped and served, so they would hit the plate knowing another 10 to 15 seconds of cooking are still going to occur. Boss Man takes a look at their flawless appearance, takes a bite, and this freaking infectious smile emerges. The smile only provided by bacon sizzled to perfection. Well, they wanted me to work Christmas, but my family had booked a cruise for the week. Parents were in the beginning of splitting up, so I kind of saw it as the last traditional family hoorah. Manager was adamant that I work the holidays regardless of my notification during the hiring process, so on Thursday at work, the day before we had to head to the Florida Keys to embark, my a-hole manager snidely says, "See you Saturday. Holidays and the weekends at Wahoo are pure hell." And I replied, "Yeah, man, if you're going to be in Barbados." Proceeded to kick open the greasy, black, unlockable back door, because 24/7 waffles, duh, one last time and Kobe the crap out of my bacon-greased lathered black apron into the garbage bin for the absolute final time with my yellow name tag saying, Baconator still attached. After the cruise, I came in to pick up my last paycheck before returning to college, just trying to slide in and out unnoticed because I was sure they'd fired me. They hadn't. It was like they completely forgot. I was instead offered a management position by Mr. Regional Wahoo at one of the Wahoos in my college town. I had talked with him about progress in college and stuff, so I guess he figured I was the most qualified. Unfortunately, the Baconator's achievements weren't enough. I would have hopped on that if I wasn't at that very moment specifically determined to finish school, so I never had to scrape Wahoo grease off those bloody tiles ever again, or have damn Carla the semi-functional call me Baconator one more time with a hoarse laugh right before she heads out back to chain smoke cigs for half an hour. Story 10. I work in a pool supply store. My job is mostly to babysit people from the moment they enter the store until they leave, because nobody ever knows anything about how to take care of their pool or what kind of equipment they have. My job is like if there was a guy at the grocery store who would meet you and ask you what you need, and you'd tell him, I don't know, it's a vegetable. And then he'd say, okay, what kind of vegetable? Then you'd say, I don't know, it's round. And he'd ask, what color is it? And you'd say, I'm not sure, gray, green, brown? And after going through all the potential vegetables that could be, it would turn out that you meant a watermelon, and he'd go get the watermelon for you because you can't be trusted to grab a watermelon instead of a pumpkin. Story 11. All the jobs at MLM companies. Man, I got a call from a friend I haven't spoken to since high school. I graduated a while ago, so it was weird getting a call from him. Also being of that age when people you know have passed away, I immediately thought the worst, like a mutual friend had died or something. I picked up to make sure it was him, and when it was, I left my office at work and went outside to take a call, expecting the worst. He started talking and it's a freaking MLM scheme. Ugh, I was so pissed and annoyed. Dude, you're too old for this stuff. Stop with these get-rich-quick schemes that don't work. Never ceases to amaze me how people fall for these get-rich-quick schemes. If they actually worked, everyone would do them. Story 12. Managers. I ran a department of 35 developers for many years, and I was keenly aware that all I basically did was ferry information from one person to another. Priorities from execs to developers, risks from developers to execs, dates, schedules, etc. I was an information processing system. I remember thinking, and if Bob would just remember to tell Alice what she needs to know, I wouldn't be needed. But they can't, so that's why I get paid this insane salary. Story 13. Insurance. No, you do not have the right of way because your turn signal was on. You have to look before backing up. 60 miles per hour is not an appropriate speed in a parking lot. No, the truck is not at fault. You cut him off. He couldn't see you. Yes, you're at fault for rear-ending that car. No, they didn't have a braking problem. You hit a parked car. You hit a pole. No, they didn't jump in front of you. Yes, we know what industrial paint is. No, your mother cannot be a character witness about how you must be telling the truth. Story 14. I work in an aquarium and we have what I can best describe as floor guides, which are just staff that interact with people and share interesting info about the exhibits. Realistically, while that is part of the job, the main reason for these people being out there is to tell people to keep their hands out of the stingray and turtle tanks because for some reason, beyond my comprehension, people don't naturally get this concept. At least once a day I hear, well, why can't I touch the stingrays? And so far, my all-time favorite outcome of that question was a kid who said, they have the word sting in their name. I've wanted to say that so many times, but I'm unable. I'd just like to point out that stingrays are relatively harmless and won't sting unless they're in fear for their life and have no escape. They want to run away before all else and are actually quite friendly. That being said, it isn't that we don't trust the rays, we just don't trust the people. Also, we do have a touch tank with rays in it, but it is curated and the barbs in those rays are trimmed regularly as a further precaution. Whenever someone else asks, just go with, "Ask Steve Irwin." Story 15. We have security guards at my job to basically keep the building safe and merchandise from being stolen. They're great, but part of their job is so ridiculous. I honestly feel so bad for them because they hate being zoned for this part. We have a lower floor with restrooms and our staff door clearly marked staff only. It also auto-locks unless you badge. Guards have to be there 24/7 to guide people straight down the only hallway and then help them figure out what restroom to use because apparently it's so difficult to read the signs pointing toward the restrooms and to look at the sign and determine the gender of each bathroom. You also have a non-gender or family bathroom, but it's clearly marked aside from the men and women restrooms. All the way down and to your left. No, straight down. No, that's staff only. No, the left. Men's and on the left. There you go. All day, every day. Story 16. Not necessarily stupid, but relevant, I think. I go to school on a dry campus and I live here in the campus apartments. Basically, my roommates set off the fire alarm and when they came to search our rooms, they were very thorough and ended up finding a bottle of wine I had under my bed. I had to go to this student conduct hearing where 6 people who only get paid to review alcohol cases sat there judging me and acting annoyed they were even there. And the whole time I'm thinking, I'm 21 years old. The only reason you have a job is because of kids like me. But I guess they'd rather be unemployed and have 0 days where they have to do their job. Story 17. Computer repair for the most part. Probably half of all the things I had to repair were extremely silly mistakes that could have been avoided by simply reading. Whenever people get an error message, they panic and click it away. Most don't even read it. When reading it could already help you fix it. I remember one guy said he didn't want to pay us to put a SIM card in his phone. I completely understand this because it's overpriced as hell, but we still told him to make sure to take the nano SIM out of the holder it came in order for it to fit in his phone. 10 minutes later, he came back because he ruined his phone trying to forcefully push the SIM card and the holder into the socket of his phone. Part of life is learning to know when you don't know something. Like a cursory Google search could have given him a tutorial with nice little pictures and everything and saved him hundreds of dollars. Story 18. I have a side gig doing data entry. I earn $25 an hour copying and pasting stuff from a web page into an Excel spreadsheet while doing some light formatting. To answer a few repeat questions, I know the employer personally, which led to me picking up this work. It's not a lot of hours a week, but the extra money is definitely useful. It's difficult finding this kind of work. You won't find it looking for job ads. You need to approach companies that you feel would have a need for this kind of service. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you made it this far, I'm sure you'll also enjoy people who lost their job because of a social media post. What happened? Story 3 was messed up. See you in that video.